I should have planned for some background music. I skipped that step. If you just came in, we are answering this question in the chat just to get some content flowing as we get into this conversation. Okay, we have some more people coming into the room, and then I will get us started. But keep thinking about this question and going ahead and adding it to the chat as we go. Thank you to everyone who shared so far. Seeing a lot of hope around collaboration, communication, pride, people working together, attending events that they haven't at levels maybe they haven't before. All of that is very good news. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Um, I'm Carrie Mayu. I'm Director of Strategy for Hutchinson Community Foundation. I'm a boomeranger who moved back to Hutch for love, but I stay because of the community that I've found here. And for the last 12 years, I've poured myself into community building through the Community Foundation to create a stronger sense of ownership, pride, and belonging for all people here. That's what it's at the heart of the Love Where You Live community empowerment initiative that we're going to talk about today. So we're here today because our neighbors' voices shape the future and potential of our communities. We have 6 weeks until October 17th to hear from at least 1,225 Reno County residents this year. And it's going to take all of us and our networks to get a representative sample of diverse perspectives. My job today is to mobilize you. So we are going to have an action-oriented meeting, especially toward the end, not just me giving you content. What I'm going to do today is share some of the background on Love Where You Live, including the top 5 themes we heard from residents in year 1. You'll hear from our civic leaders in Haven, Buhler, and Hutch who are using the data to make progress. And we'll get energized to meet the year 2 response goals for the survey to set up another year of collaboration and progress and action. Can I get 3 people just to say a brief thing out loud about your sign of progress that you put in the chat? Just 3 volunteers. That's all I need. And you can just go ahead and unmute and say it.
I've got you, Carrie. I think that I have seen a lot of trust being built within community leaders and also community partners that are trying to do work together. And the second part of what I had said is I think I'm starting to see more strategic alignment in all of us working together more collaboratively versus in silos towards goals.
Awesome. I'm feeling all that too. Good. Anybody else willing to come off mute and share?
Hey, this is Clint. I would piggyback Lacey's comment. I know specifically for interfaith, it's been a year of um, knowledge gain and being very intentional about understanding other agencies and resources and seeing how we can kind of interweave the work that's being done.
Excellent. Yeah, you're at the heart of a lot of things right now, Clint. Great.
This is Tegan with Bueller Rec, so just representing a smaller town in Reno County. I feel like we have been better participators in the last several years, and maybe even dedicated some staff members to do that. And we've also just been involved in a lot of the strategic planning. So that gives me hope.
Great. Yeah, thank you for all that you are doing and Bueller for being at the table for all these conversations. Okay, well, I want to flash back to why we are even doing this thing. So in June 2024, Hutchinson Community Foundation and partners launched Love Where You Live, this 3-year community empowerment initiative that centers resident perceptions, dialogue, and collaborative action. Alongside our partners, our goal is to provide Reno County communities and the county as a whole with data and a process that will empower residents to make positive change and boost community pride. Since last June, we have engaged residents through a survey, community workshops, grant opportunities, and the communications about progress, a process that we will repeat for 2 more years. Why a survey when there are lots of surveys that float around out there for multiple reasons? And sometimes we feel we're kind of surveyed out. Why a survey? Because this structured data benchmarking process through our partner and innovation economy partners who are working with community foundations all across the country. That's an asset to us to have that resource. Because data can be used to relate communities to each other and to identify opportunities for collaboration and hidden potential. Because it enables a multi-year tracking process that helps residents gauge the impact of their efforts and measure their progress from year to year. And it creates a common data language for better collaboration, we hope. So after the survey, we produce 8 benchmarking reports. We broke Reno County into 7 different areas, plus one whole Reno County. So we have reports for Hutchinson, South Hutchinson, Nickerson, Bueller, the Haven and Yoder area, Pretty Prairie, and then the Fairfield area, where each community gets their own data results so they can have that snapshot of what's going on there, plus the county as a whole. And in this first year of the survey last year, 268 people of 1,022 who took the survey left their contact information at the end saying they wanted to engage in community conversations and be a part of initiatives. Basically, they raised their hand and said, I want to know what's going on and I want to be a part of it. Plus, we had 205 people attend the 10 community workshops across the county. And I've been communicating with them over the last year. Many of them are you who showed up today, hopefully, wanting to be a part of this next effort to get better data, to keep the snowball rolling downhill. So this year we did shift the timing a little bit. Last year we did the survey in June and July, this year, September and October. But the process is basically the same. What we hope changes from year to year, though, is that we have more people who are a part of trying to get better data, who are a part of the collaboration in their communities to make progress on the priorities. And we want to create this stronger sense of co-ownership with communities. Ultimately, we don't want to be the community foundation coming into the community saying, here's what your people said, what do you want to do about it? We want to come alongside every community in Reno County and say, how can we support you and your residents in making progress? And that might look different from community to community. and we hope that continues to evolve from year to year. So when we looked at all the data from year one, plus the workshop responses, again, that's 1,022 survey responses, 205 people who showed up at community workshops. We essentially found 5 big themes or asks that residents were making of us as civic leaders, as organizations, as cities, communities. And I want to run through them pretty quickly. Because all of this is available at renosurvey.com. That's the hub for all the information from year one and everything going forward. Number 1 was around ALICE, supporting ALICE families and increasing wages. In the workshops, we asked participants to react to the economic perception data that you can see here. This is for the whole county. This part of the survey asked them how they feel about current business and employment opportunities versus future business conditions, employment opportunities, and future income. By far, the number 1 response was that the negative perception on current business conditions is likely due to lower wages. And many people mentioned ALICE specifically. If you're not familiar with ALICE, it stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed, people who are working but barely making it. The United Way of Reno County, shout out Lacey, has taken a leadership role here and across the state to educate our community about ALICE, and they house the ALICE data for Reno County and Kansas. What the data tells us is that 42% of Reno County is ALICE, which is higher than the Kansas average, and including 13% who are in poverty. And when we pair that with the data, or with the median household income data, you can see just how far we are behind the state in terms of our wages. So with all of the education, again, that United Way has been doing around ALICE, and I think it was really encouraging to see how many people named ALICE specifically, and tied that to the importance of increasing wages and household income in Reno County. The second takeaway from the sense making on that same graph of economic perceptions was how important visible change is to residents. On the negative perception of current business conditions, people attributed that to the blight they're seeing across their towns, the schools and businesses that have closed, the empty storefronts, and the negativity they're seeing on social media. On the reverse side, the graph showed just how much more optimistic people are about the future compared to today. We asked workshop participants why they think that is. And this time, they pointed to the signs of progress that they're seeing: the increase in childcare slots and centers, the construction of the new YMCA and hotel, the announcement of new industry coming to the area, and the beautification and reinvestment efforts that they're seeing. What I hear them saying is, give us more visible signs of optimism to outweigh the signs of decline. We know it's there. Sometimes it's hidden in the background. And so how can we make more of that visible today? In their sense making about the survey data, we heard a lot of people reflecting on whether they feel welcome or included at a table or in a room. They were unsure if their voices mattered, if they can make a difference, if the extra time and energy it takes to get involved in community challenges would be worth it. At the same time, they asked for more opportunities to feel a part of the progress. They pointed to recent town halls in several communities and said, we want more of that. They asked for more frequent updates when it doesn't look like anything is happening. And they asked for community leaders to be more visible and present in different spaces. Another thing we heard as an answer to multiple questions in the workshop was the request for continued collaboration toward a shared vision and long-term commitment. So some workshop participants said that the collaboration and leadership they've seen happening between community partners in recent years, as many of you mentioned in the chat, signs of progress, that's giving them hope for the future. So you're not alone in that. You'll see here that our communities get pretty high marks for execution. But the confidence falls when it comes to residents' perception of whether we know where we're headed and if we have a plan to get there. Um, oops. Now, we all know that we do have multiple plans and studies that tell us where we should be going, but the public is saying they're not sure what those plans are and if we're actually executing them, as well as what do they all add up to? What is Hutchinson and Reno County and where are we headed? Are we going in the same direction together? The community's not sure about that from their perception. Finally, we heard a lot of pent-up energy for doing things differently. There was another question. This is another question we asked at the workshops and asked residents to answer. Now, bold doesn't imply a silver bullet idea, and that's not really what we heard from people when they answered this question. The bold ideas were largely shifts in mindset and approach. The ideas suggest we need to keep listening, keep questioning the way things have always been done, keep asking ourselves whether we're asking the right questions, and keep pivoting toward what's making progress. And now, not all signs of progress required grants, but these photos kind of are a snapshot of some of the Fund for Reno County Impact Cycle 1 grantees we had that are working to propel progress in their communities. We have our friends in Haven who got multiple grants, one to run their own Love Where You Live Haven initiative, which you'll hear about from Jill here in a few minutes. They also got the Haven Rec got signage to put out front to help communicate what's going on in the community even more clearly to Haven residents. Our friends in Arlington needed new heating for their gym in the community center so that it could be open to kids and families again to use. We see Hutch Rec and the municipal band collaborating on bringing music into neighborhoods. The Big Table community meals are expanding, and they got some resources to help them better host at the farmers market. Sylvia expanded their community garden, which is right behind and next to their city hall. They're really doing lighter, quicker, cheaper things out there to increase civic engagement and build on their civic assets. And Turon got a grant to improve the windows and entrances to their community building. And so many of these projects were started or bolstered by what we heard in the survey, what these communities are paying attention to and hearing from their residents. And just 2 weeks ago, we received Impact Cycle 2 proposals for the Fund for Reno County for strong organizations and community and economic development. And those proposals are under consideration right now by our grants committee. We are going to announce those awards on October 2nd at our second annual Uplift event, where we'll highlight the change makers at work across our communities and talk about the grants that we've made this year. Really celebrate all the work that's going on in the community. So save the date, October 2nd, Farmers Market Pavilion, 4 to 6:30. Formal invitation to come. A few other signs of progress relating to the top priorities that residents shared in terms of the priority issues and the priority metrics that they want to pay attention to in their communities. As was mentioned in the chat, we have, perhaps for the first time ever, a collaborative approach to a holistic Reno County Economic Development Strategic Plan that is in progress. I know many of you have been a part of that. It also is going to include Startup Hutch and entrepreneurship initiatives for the first time, and is really intentionally including all of Reno County, not just Hutchinson. So we're really proud to support that initiative and that collaboration. We've seen communities like Hutchinson take on Blight head first, addressing some really big commercial properties in the community and going through the whole process to clean that up. We are seeing a lot of movement in childcare, thanks to the work of the Reno County Child Care Task Force and many partners across the county who have kind of raised their hand and said, we will start a center, we will expand our center, we will, see our part of the mess in childcare. And next week, actually, the new Kids Collective 501(c)(3) will launch to really streamline and bolster the administrative operational function of childcare and pull some of these centers together under one umbrella. We're also seeing tons of movement in housing. The housing needs assessment that was finished last year really gave us, that the data that said, here's where we need to go. Partners are collaborating around that. The county has stepped in to provide different kinds of incentives, a countywide neighborhood revitalization program. We have housing developments popping up across the county or in various stages of progress. And the Community Foundation has been working with partners on a 3-year housing initiative to really improve the housing development ecosystem, focus on small scale developers. More to come on that. Public infrastructure was also a big priority for residents. And of course, this past month, that has, I think, taken a even more prominent role in a lot of our thinking as the new floodplain maps have come out, affecting how we might be able to develop and people's livelihoods ultimately. But there's also discussion about how to fund it to make sure that we're making the right improvements and can keep up. We also haven't, we've had the Hutchinson Tribune for several years, but I believe this week the Hutchinson Tribune is publishing its first print edition, which is very exciting. So we have local reporters, local news that hopefully will increase that level of knowledge across the community about what's going on. Time check. Okay. Now that I've been talking to you for 20 minutes, I want to turn it over to some of our friends. I've invited Jill Snyder from Haven, Lauren Metters from Buhler, and Dave Sotelo from Hutch to talk with us about why this data and this process mattered to them and their communities, their work, and how they're using what they learned to make progress. So I'm going to take it off of share here just a minute and reorient myself. Jill, I see you first. Are you willing to speak up first?
Absolutely. Yes. Thanks, Carrie. Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Snyder, and I'm the Haven Economic Development Coordinator. I began in last fall, so some of the pieces of Love Where You Live had already began, so I got to go to the workshop and dive in, and I was really happy with the show up of people that came to the community that of all walks of life that was really wanting to make some changes and move things forward. And then I dove a little bit deeper into the different types of grants and things, what I was hearing from the community that we were wanting to do, which was to have more engagement, more community pride, have more opportunities to meet other folks in walks of life within it. So that really started the brainstorming of jumping on and starting the campaign of Love Where You Live in Haven. We have partnered up. So with the funds that we received, we have done let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we've done 6 or 7 events already, and we have at least 4 to 5 more to go for the rest of the year. So we partnered up with the Haven Scouts, the public library. We had a block party with the Haven Police Department. We had 2 free swim days at our public pool. We did a big poker run, which was a lot of fun with the Haven Recreation Department. Basically, it was just a time to have fun with your neighbors and your friends and people within the community to get together and be able to interact and do something fun, but then also gives the chance to become have people meet up and get to talk to each other in an organic situation. So it's fun, but then we can go on and then I can pop in there or other people within the community can say, well, what are your thoughts on this? What do you see that we could change? we've heard a lot of things that people want more opportunities within Haven. Like they see that there's, the Haven Economic Development Committee that they could possibly be on, or city council, or want to help out. And I have free time now and want to, help out with the scouts. How do I do that? It's just really have brought our community together and opened the lines of communication. So asking those questions and getting that, we've been collecting that data. And then the last event that we'll have in December, January timeframe is basically kind of a connections type of thing. We're going to have just a small, dinner gathering, but we're going to bring these topics and see where we came across and what was really talked about in 2025 and how we're going to move forward in 2026 and beyond. So let's start building on top of this. So it's been a very big discovery and fun. Each event has gotten bigger and bigger on whatever kind of events we've been doing. And so everybody's been ahead. There's been something for everybody to partake in. So we still have the Haven Fall Festival coming up, Christmas Haven, and then our connections type of piece. And then we'll also do something with the school as well. So we've really had a great year. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what happens for 2026 and beyond. Any questions?
That's a lot of work, Jill. It's a lot of events to put on.
But it was easy to do with the help of everybody else. All the organizations wanted to partake. So there wasn't anybody, even down to our fitness center and our EMS, the police department, everybody wants to be engaged and be together and move the dial and get things going forward. So it's been fun. I think we just needed the oomph. We needed the push to have something organized just to kind of get us going. So this was a great campaign, and thank you for all the support and guidance that you guys give us.
Well, proud to support you all, and excited to see how this continues to evolve.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If you have questions for Jill or anyone who's speaking, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll make sure we come back to them. Lauren.
Yes, hello.
Are here. Okay, hi. You want to share what you've been doing in Beeler?
Absolutely. And I'd like to just start by saying Love Where You Live really has been a gift to our community. Kind of like Jill said, it's been really fun to see people stepping up and looking for ways to productively get involved instead of just going on Facebook and, having a quick nasty message. And it's been fun to get to hear ideas when we have elevated these issues. It's interesting to see who steps forward. And I've learned so much about my neighbors because, maybe they have some experience in that field, and I would have never known had they not been responding to this issue that's been elevated through the campaign. I would say another huge thing that we've seen is we've gotten real data. Instead of, just saying like, it kind of feels like this, we can say, no, this is the data. And it has, there's known issues and there's things that surprised me. And so, and then lastly, I'd say that countywide collaboration has been so huge, partially just because, when we all work together, we can get results with less input, from each of us individually, but then also the collaboration is pointed at things that actually matter to us. And so things like that Reno County Economic Development Strategic Plan, we're so excited to see the results and to be a part of the process just because, attracting new businesses was one of Beeler's highest priorities. And it gives really clear direction to where that was an easy yes to say, yeah, we're going to collaborate on that. We're going to take part in it. And same thing with the neighborhood revitalization plan that the county did. We were really excited that they kind of led that push and we could jump on and not have to, invent our own wheel on that and just use theirs. And I'm excited to say we've given out 5 applications so far since that passed, which it's huge for a community our size. Trying to think of a few other things. Another big priority for us was just increasing that communication. And last week we sent our very first community e-newsletter. And so that's something that is, we're hoping that it can continue to grow and continue to improve, but just connect all of us and keep us all talking and um, moving forward. And then we also, with housing, this Love Where You Live process did give a lot of the kind of the fuel behind and data behind a code review process. So we as a city are going to look at and say, okay, where are we dropping the ball as far as keeping our neighborhoods nice? Yeah, I could go on and on. I don't want to take too much time. I know you said 2 to 5 minutes, so
That also is a lot to happen in a year. It's been exciting to watch and be in the room with some of the Bueller conversations and see how many people have been showing up. Um, and yeah, now just trying to keep them engaged, right? Like
yes.
you showed up to one conversation, but there's many more to be had, right?
Yes. Absolutely. That momentum is the challenge, but I think we're up for it. So
Thank you, Lauren.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dave Sotelo, I see you there.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Gary. Dave Sotelo, Director of Strategic Growth for the City of Hutchinson. And this has been having this data and the work that has come out of the Love Where You Live. It keeps coming back to me to um, a value of the Strong Towns movement that I've been trying to think about a lot, but also getting our organization, the city, to think about. And that's no one's coming to save us. Um, no one's coming to save our towns, our communities, our economies, our parks, our corridors. No one's coming to do that. We're going to have to do it ourselves. And having this data, I think, has helped us just be braver, bolder, and have a sense of um, confidence that what we're doing is what our community wants to do. The city manager came in last year and or however long ago, a year and a half ago, and he asked us why I keep hearing I just started and I keep hearing about the atrium. Why have we not moved on that? And the department heads in the room had no good answers for that. And so he said, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna take it on. Why? Because we can do hard things. We can do hard things. And as we've made some progress on that, we then had a meeting. I don't know if any of you watched that, but 10 commercial properties that were also brought out to the city council for demolition or hopefully the property owners take some ownership and make some efforts before we have to take action. But it's not an easy thing to do to remove blight. It's complicated, it's personal, it takes a lot of effort from our staff, and those battles are often very public, and everyone has an opinion, and it's impacting someone's livelihood, someone's, assets. And so we're very conscious on that of that, and it does, it's hard for us. We have to constantly question ourselves whether we're doing the right thing, and I can always use Love Where You Live data to remind our partners here at the city that this is what the community wants us to do. That the community wants us to be proud of the place that we call home, and they want to be walking down the street and feel proud about their neighborhoods and their community. I love where I live. I love my neighborhood. I love walking around my neighborhood. I love seeing my fellow Hutchinson's citizens have beautiful homes, beautiful yards, and I want everyone in Hutchinson to have that same feeling. And so what we're doing is working towards that beautification, and it also means small investments that often will get questioned, but in the long term, I think have an impact. And so you'll start seeing more signage around our community, welcoming people to Hutchinson with some of the city new branding, which was funded by the Community Foundation. And so we're embracing the Hutchinson flag and using that as a point of pride, and hopefully through some things that you'll start seeing over the next few months, helping everybody else also embrace that. Um, one other thing that was important to us through this process was understanding that we have a lot of plans here at the city of Hutchinson. We've had housing plans, pedestrian master plan, water treatment plan, parks and recreation master plan after plan. And uh, when we bring new plan ideas to city council, they kind of get hesitant and push back because all of our data has told us people are tired of doing one more plan, doing one more survey. What they want to see is action. And what we've realized is that most of the things that we're bringing to city council are tied to some of our master plans. They just don't know about it. And so we've changed a small change that we implemented just last month. You'll start seeing on our agendas every time we are recommending something to council, we're gonna connect it back to the plans that are uh, recommending that decision. And we are encouraging our staff members to be vocal about that when they're presenting to city council. This aligns with our pedestrian master plan. This aligns with our parks and recreation master plan. Because we took a look at all of our plans and try to see how much progress we've made. We were shocked to see that we're actually really doing some of that work. We're just not doing a great job of communicating that. So it led us to just in my inbox, I just received our newsletter. We've started a newsletter this summer to inform citizens of some of the cool things that we're doing at the city, informing them of the things that we're investing on. Um, and so it really just going back to no one's coming to save us. And so we're going to have to do some of that hard work ourselves. And this data, this process has reminded us that our citizens, the folks that we work for, want us to do the hard things. And they're going to support us if we do those hard things. And so we keep hearing that from our citizens that some of the things that we're doing are really exciting. One small example of that, this year, for the first time ever, we started plowing residential streets. That was not something we've done in the past, but our staff said we can do it, and it's not going to take more resources than what we already have budgeted. And so we sat down and thought, That's a big deal for our community because it's something we hear often." So before we had any storms, we started communicating, this is what you can expect. If this amount of snow falls on the ground, this is the action our city is going to take. And if sleet comes after that, this is the action we're going to take. So we communicated what we were going to do. We communicated what we were doing. And then once the storms were over, we communicated what we did. And just the comments online, which I think sometimes is what brings our energy down the most, were night and day, just comparing those posts year over year. The year before, the comments were awful, and just if our staff members are reading that, it doesn't feel good. When we were reading the comments this year, it was a completely different perspective from our citizens saying, "Thank you so much for the work." And so, even the small plans that we're putting in place in our organization, we're being really intentional of communicating what we're doing it, where we're doing it, when we're doing it, what we will do, just trying to be more intentional about that because I think our community wants to know that, and we can do some things to educate them and make them aware of the actions that we're taking. Thanks, Gary.
That's impressive. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for that full rundown. And you mentioned strong towns. And the other kind of strong towns approach that what you said remind me of is that we need to humbly observe where people struggle and then do the next smallest thing to address that thing and then keep repeating it. And it's related to a placemaking concept called lighter, quicker, cheaper. Like you don't have to wait until you have the big one answer, if that even exists, or the one thing to fix something to make incremental change. So like putting, a connection to a plan on a city agenda as a cue for how we are implementing these plans. Like that's addressing a small way people are struggling, right? So that's exciting. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing and for all you're doing in your communities. Um, if you do have questions for Lauren, Dave, or Jill, please put them in the chat and we'll make sure to get back to it. I have to admit I'm having slight flashbacks to 2020 with the Zoom and talking about chat because I haven't done this a whole lot in the last couple of years. But here we go. Okay. I am going to reshare and move to this next part. Okay. So hopefully you have a better grasp of why we're doing this data collection and what's possible because of it. And now I want to ask you to help us get more responses this year and better responses, this better in terms of more diverse responses this year. We received 1,022 survey responses last year across Reno County. We're upping that to 1,225 this year. In particular, we had some gaps in representation. Young adults, the way that our partners, the IEP, break down kind of the age groups, it's 20 and under are the young adults. And though we would take, 3-year-olds could answer this if they want to, they might not have an opinion about priorities in the community or perceptions of the economy. We really need help reaching those 16 to 20-year-olds and even, 20 somethings. They are the future of our community. We need to know what they think, what they're feeling about our community, what they're paying attention to. Again, because they are the future. How can we make decisions that are building the communities that they want to come back to stay in, to invest in? We also did pretty well on people of color last year. We got about 11% of responses, but we want to get back up to around 15%, which is kind of, we look at all the communities across Reno County, it's about the average of non-white citizens in Reno County. We'd like to help to reach them even better. And then as a proxy to Alice families, because we can't exactly track that in the way that the demographics are collected, we need to increase representation of renters in the survey. So we're aiming for 30% of responses to be from renters, which is about 367. We also know that people who are struggling economically, which is not all renters, I don't want to equate that, but people who are struggling economically or feel kind of they're on the margins of the community are also the least likely to take a survey. They're least likely to have the time, want to give the time to necessarily trust what somebody is going to do with their answers. And so it's really the trusted people on the ground, you all, who have those relationships with community members, where if you could ask them, hey, your voice really matters, and we're trying to put together, this snapshot of what our community is thinking and feeling. Will you please take this 10-minute survey? That would go a whole long way. And then also outside of Hutch, excuse me, we are aiming for at least 50 responses in every community or area in Reno County. Some of the communities rural communities did really well last year. Lauren beat the bushes and she got 93 responses in Bueller. Fairfield area had about 66. But we'd like to hear even more from communities outside of Hutchinson so that their reports can be more representative of what their residents are saying. And this year we have a community-centric incentive where for every 50 responses in a community or area, we're going to make a $50 donation to that local food pantry. We hope people are seeing their voice as a vote for their future, and as helping their fellow residents. We also, excitingly this year, will have a interactive data tool so that we can break down by demographics how people answer. So we could say on this tool, which you will all get access to, what do 16 to 20-year-olds think about the economy in Reno County? What are their top priority areas? That's a tool we didn't have last year, but our partners at IEP have built that out for us and other community foundations. And so hopefully you all will be able to use that too when you're thinking about how to reach people, what kind of programming to offer and all of that. So what does that actually look like? What's our ask of all of you? We are going to start public promotion of the survey on Tuesday, September 2nd. So we're going to get past Labor Day to start pushing it and have those 6 weeks until October 17th. That's also the day we're going to be visiting some of you across the county. We're going to do a big paper delivery day for those paper copy stations that we take to city halls, libraries across the county. We're doing all the usual media outreach. People will kind of find it organically through flyers around town, hopefully in break rooms, in businesses, in ads, on the radio. But you all have networks that we're in different ways that we're not going to reach through traditional media or through just paper copies where they're going to stumble upon them. If each one of you could get 20 people to take the survey, we'd be at 700 responses. We'd be more than halfway there. These are some ideas of how you can help do that. Whether that's internally at your organization, if you have a lot of people, could you at a staff meeting say, hey, we're going to take 10 minutes, all of you fill out this survey, please, and give me the paper copies that we provide or the QR code that we'll provide. If you want us to come to a meeting to talk about why we're doing this and to administer the survey, we can do that. If you feel comfortable including it in your organization's newsletter, email blast, that would be fantastic. We also are going to have, I'll send this out in the follow-up email. We have a way for you to take a quick selfie video of yourself making a pitch to your neighbors, to your community, to take the survey that we can disperse as well. All of those materials and a request form for us to come out are at renosurvey.com, or you can just contact me. And really the message is pretty simple. It's just, your perspective will shape future priorities and funding. It's short, it's only 10 minutes. It's online or on paper, and every voice matters. There are no wrong answers. I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago with Dave Mullins from Hutchinson Community College, and he said, well, we have, football players who are here for a year or two. Do you really want to hear what they have to say? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because they are our community members and they are potential stayers. They are people who we might be able to get attached to our community and want to stay here. There's also a little bit longer pitch right there. I'll send, again, this all out. I'm moving pretty quickly through here because I do want to give you a few minutes for some brainstorming here. Another thing we wanted to call attention to is National Good Neighbor Day on Sunday, September 28th. And a national movement for us and for this movement. It's really to demonstrate the love that we have for each other and our places, and that loving is a verb. And by proxy, we want to reach more people and get more survey responses. We have some activity ideas that you all could use, could do, or come up with your own, but we'd love to just see love in action on that day, on that weekend. Love of your neighborhood, of your neighbors, of your community. I'll send this out as well. And one of the strategies we're going to use is doorstep joy drops. So you'll see yellow mums, which is a symbol of friendship and neighborliness, be a theme, a visual theme throughout this survey process and this year. We want people to help us go put those mums on random doorsteps and just with a little note that says, hey, you are seen, You are cared for. Will you share your perspective on this community through the survey? So if you can sign up for any of these or just do it on your own, we would love that. We're trying to, again, turn love into action, not just talking about it. So we've got a couple of minutes. We got about 10 minutes left. I would love to send you into breakout rooms for like 5 minutes to just brainstorm, shout out ideas. How can you see yourself or us collectively reaching those target groups or individuals who tend to be lesser heard in our community? And then we'll come back and do a quick shout out. Okay. Again, I have not done send to breakout rooms in a while, so give me just a second. I'm going to stop share and I'm going to find where it goes. And I'm going to put you into 5 different breakout rooms and we'll take 5 minutes and then come back as a whole group. Okay. Idea burst. Go.
Carrie, I have a question.
Yeah.
We in our group breakout, we talked about that there's going to be a QR code available for the survey. Will there also be, besides the QR code, just a hyperlink that if we put it on social media too, that they can just click on it and jump right into it as well?
Yes. The link we're putting out there is to renosurvey.com, which goes to the main page. So then people can choose whether they need English or Spanish.
Okay.
If you
Perfect.
know, like your group needs just the English version or just the Spanish version, you can go and find that specific link directly to that.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, the QR code goes to just the main page.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, everybody, in our last couple minutes, any ideas you want to throw out into the whole room of how we or you are gonna help reach our target numbers and audiences?
Well, I think it goes without saying schools have an access to the 16 to 20-year-old age group that many people don't have access to their emails and access to contacting them. So I think we'll be committed to helping share that information with our 16 to 18-year-old age group specifically. And as far as the Alice people, I know that I always feel like our school system is all school systems are a big contributor to Alice families due to the wages that we pay our paras and our classified staff. And so we can also share it with our staff pretty easily to encourage them to fill it out, which would hit, I would assume, the outside of Hutch area because a lot of our paras live in various communities. So that'd be something that's an easy share. I'm not saying that that'll get results, but it would be at least getting the word out.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So I'm with Boys and Girls Clubs, Aaliyah Gray, and I think we definitely, I had said this in our breakout room as well, the Alice families are not all of our families, but definitely a pretty good portion for us, as well as that 16 through 18 kind of age group. So for us, I think just incentivizing, finding some ways to kind of get that QR code out. And then I think maybe if we could have someone like at a family night, because I was kind of explaining that I know for a lot of our parents and our teens as well, if they can get the why they're doing the survey, they're kind of a little bit more inept to want to take it. And I think sometimes, I mean, of course, the why is out there, but sometimes if people can like just hear it and see it, and they get that more like intimate, I guess, explanation as to how it pertains to them, then I think that we could definitely have some good numbers taking that survey as well.
Great. Yes, we can make that happen. Thank you, Aaliyah. Okay. Well,
And the room I was in, we had Angie from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and Candace, who's with the aging populations and transportation over for the county. And let's see who else was in there. Oh, Leah from Brian, and they are voicing their willingness to share with their demographics. So we've got an older population that we might not reach always, and then the youth that are within the programs, and families, and also the folks that are volunteering. There are some. Leah does have some youth who are volunteers with her that she'll be sure to share the QR code with. So that was good.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. Well, we're over our time, so I'm going to pause it there. But if you have ideas you want to share with me, please reach out to me directly. And I do want to leave you with a question that kind of plants the seed for what comes next after the data, which I'll put in the chat. What potential do you see for using the data and process in your own work or community? And second, like how can we support you in making that happen? I will be back in touch. Again, I'll send a follow-up email with the content of this and kind of equip you to go out into the world and help us spread the word. But then I hope you all will consider kind of staying engaged at even the co-creation model of what this becomes and help us figure out how we continue to make this community driven and take it on its own life, I guess, in essence. But thank you so much for your time, for your ideas. And just know how much I appreciate the collaboration and the partnership on behalf of all of our communities. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.